Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Dr. Tim Reynolds, best-selling author of Living Every Minute, How to Create a Spectacular Life, along with a whole bunch of other things we're going to talk about. Dr. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I love it. And just so you know, I've read a couple of your books. I'm a big fan already.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. That'll make my day. So let's go back in time. How did you get started?
Short story is straight out of high school, I went into the military, went right into Special Forces training, became a Green Beret medic.
Thank you for your service.
Did that. Thank you. And between active and reserve and guard, did a total of about 17 years, was enlisted as a Green Beret medic, and then eventually became the battalion surgeon once I went to medical school. I went to medical school. I've always had sort of 3 interests: medicine, business, and teaching. And I've always sort of done some combination of those 3 things, one more than the other. And so I became a physician, I did emergency medicine and became the medical director for a level 2 trauma center. Did that for about 10 years. And we had a couple of businesses then, and that started to grow. And we started our biggest business in 2006, and we've grown that. And now I spend probably 80% of my time, 70% of my time doing our businesses, and 10% teaching and 20% seeing patients when I want to. So that's kind of how it looks now.
All right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that.
Sure.
Talk about the businesses, the practice, and the teaching. Let's separate them out if you don't mind.
Sure. So we have a little portfolio of businesses. Our largest business is we own and operate medical clinics in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. We have 20 clinics. And we have everything from walk-in urgent cares, physical therapy, dermatology clinic, primary care, and so that's our biggest business. And then we own a gym and athletic training facility. We own a preschool. We own a real estate development company, and then I have a teaching business. And so that's where I get to do most of my teaching.
Okay, so I'm obviously some of that lengthy bio is in the book. So talk a little bit about how you became such a serial entrepreneur.
You know, I think it might have been born that way a little bit. I think all of us have that, were we born that way or did we become that way? And I think it's a little bit of both, but I can remember at, age 8, 9, 10, 11, developing a lawn mowing business and a window washing business and a car business and those kinds of things. And I've always just been fascinated with growing businesses and filling niches that aren't filled. And I think that's always been part of my nature.
You may actually have been a born entrepreneur. It certainly sounds like it. What inspired you to write the book?
After doing, my wife and I, Pam, we have 5 kids. We've raised those 5 kids. They're now 5 adults. And between the military and our businesses and medicine and the things I got to see in the emergency department and raising our children, I just started thinking, I think I have something that's worthwhile talking about. I mean, as I say in the book, I don't think the world needs one more book, but I do think there's some unique things that I could talk about because of our unique experiences. And I really had it with the thought of 2 things. One, if my kids were sitting across the table, what would I want them to know that they may or may not know about me? And then secondly, if there's a young entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, or person out there thinking about what they're going to do in life, what are some of the, success leaves clues? What are some of the things and landmines that I've stepped on and some things that I've learned along the way that they might not have to?
That makes a lot of sense. What have you enjoyed the most about having the book out in the marketplace with your message?
Just honestly, the thing I've loved the most is when people who I've either not heard from for a long, long time, or lots of people I don't even know are writing me saying this one chapter changed everything. This chapter about kids, or this chapter about business, or this chapter about, improving myself. That one thing is exactly what I needed to hear. It came at the right moment that the world knew I needed to hear that. So that's been great.
That is beautiful. Talk to us about the teaching business.
So we have a teaching business called Living Every Minute, livingeveryminute.com. And we have a blog, and we do some teaching. And then I put on a summit a couple times a year, and done it around the country, in Florida, Vegas, California. And we basically go through for 3 days and teach people how to improve their life in what we call the 7 pillars.
Okay, so that segues into my next question. Obviously, we want folks to read the book, so don't tell them all 6, but could you tease us with a few of those pillars?
Yeah, so I'll tease you a little bit. I think, and I'm trying to, keeping in mind sort of who's in our audience today and who likes listening, I'm kind of oriented towards them. One of the pillars is living abundantly, which has a lot to do with creating business and the lessons we've learned in our businesses over the years and growing them, etc. And I've listened to some of your podcasts, so I know that you guys talk a lot about that. But I think the one thing that doesn't get mentioned a lot, and we do, and I'd love to talk about in the book, is, we spend a lot of time thinking about, marketing and creating brand and selling and customer service and taking care of team members and financials and all of those things. But none of that does us any good if it doesn't lead to a spectacular life, right? If we get so caught up in that we lose the fact of what we did it for to begin with. And I think that happens certainly among my friends who are business owners. It happens a lot. And my friend Tony Robbins got the privilege of interviewing 50 billionaires, right? Like, that's probably never been done before. And he said, and this was the most profound thing he said about that, of the 50, he thought 6 were truly happy. Opposite of what people would have us believe, right? Everything, every TV show, every movie, every commercial, every social media said, if we had $1 billion, of course we'd be happy. And that's not necessarily true.
Absolutely. Yes, I did just attend the virtual Unleash the Power Within event with Tony, and he did talk about that. You are absolutely right. What is it that you think? There are so many personal development programs, books, courses, teachers, stuff like that. What do you think makes yours different?
So I think it does 2 things, I'll say. One is, I think everybody tends to be focused on one area, and I'm focused on, how do you integrate that? How do you integrate having a great relationship and owning a business or being an employee in a business, and integrate that with driving a fast car and being able to, how do you integrate your life together so that it's one spectacular event rather than over focusing on one area? And so I would say that's the first thing. The second thing I try to do in this book is, without you having to go to a mountain and get in a cave and think about what your purpose is and all of those kinds of things, what are some tools that I can give you right now, where I say, hey, take this tool. You don't need to know anything else. Just start this one thing, and it'll completely change your intimate relationship with your spouse. Just do it right now. And so the book is full of stories and tools that you can start to use today. Kind of life hacks, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's why it makes it so actionable and easy to implement and digest. Yeah. What is it that you feel most people are doing wrong when it comes to trying to live every minute?
So I think most people live the zombie life, right? The zombie life is, you get up in the morning, make your coffee, drive to work the same way you always drive to work, check in your brain at the time clock, do your job, get off at 5, go home, have a couple beers, watch the tube, and can't wait for the weekend to get out of that rat race. And not realizing that 10 years go by and you've done the exact same thing. And we all get in this mode, right, where every day is Tuesday. And all it is switching that and just saying, what could we do to just create a little bit of spectacular, instead of just being average, or, as Tony says, instead of just being excellent, what would I need to go to what he says is outstanding, I say is spectacular. We use the same language, but I call it spectacular. Well, if you have an excellent relationship with your wife, what would you have to do to move it to spectacular? And it's not a big move. It's a little move. So I'll give you an example. We have a thing in the relationship chapter called the 30-second makeout session. So my wife and I invented this idea where, your wife's sitting there and you sneak up behind her at work or at home and you throw her up against the wall and full tongue in, make out, groping like you're 16-year-old teenagers for 30 seconds. And then you say, have a nice day. And you walk away. What if you just did that and nothing else? It would change your entire relationship. And who doesn't have 30 seconds? It's not 30 minutes, it's 30 seconds. So that's the kind of things we try and talk about.
Absolutely. You put so much amazing advice in the book.
Thank
From
you.
where you are right now, what's your favorite chapter?
My favorite chapter right now is combination of the giving back chapter and creating and living abundantly. So we're blessed to be in a different place in our lives right now where, we're not having to fight for our careers I've kind of been through all that. And so now it's really contribution. It's really, how do we give back and that's why I wrote the book. How do we, I kind of go through life with a hand up looking for mentors and a hand down helping those behind me. And I hope this is helpful to people. I really, really do.
Absolutely. You've given so much amazing advice in the book. What's the best advice you ever got?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think the best advice I ever got was probably quit worrying about yourself. You may not know what your mission is, but it rhymes with serving. It rhymes with serving others. And this idea that we have to know, right? There's this thing in the self-help world that you've got to figure out what your mission is, and you've got to figure out what your passion is, and you've got to figure out what your legacy is going to be. And I think it's just too much pressure. The way it's happened for me is not like that. I kind of thought I knew in 20, and then at 30 it kind of changed, and then at 40 it changed again, and then at 50 it changed again. And I think that's more like how it really happens, right? And I love the story of the bumblebee who gets up every morning, and the bumblebee goes out and he pollinates a flower, and he goes to the next flower, and he goes, because he's making honey, right? So he pollinates flowers and he goes back to the hive and he makes honey. And every day he goes out and he makes honey. And when they ask the bumblebee, hey, what is your legacy? What is your purpose? He says, I'm making honey, not realizing that his actual purpose is pollinating flowers. And so I really think that's a lot like us. We may think it's one thing, but when we leave or when we're done, everybody's going to look and say, yeah, he thought that's what he's doing, but what he actually left us was a different thing, or she left us was a different thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know you're a voracious reader. What are 3 of your favorite books, and you can't quote yourself?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I was going to say another financial book. I hate to make them all financial books, but I'm going to say Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Not because Think and Grow Rich or Rich Dad, Poor Dad have anything to do with money, because I'm not sure they do. They have to do with philosophy and lifestyle that happen to have money associated with them. Love Gates of Fire. It's about Sparta and the 300, that what actually really happened to all those guys. That's an amazing book.
I haven't read that one. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing book.
For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to get a copy of the book and learn more about Dr. Tim?
So what I would love to do, if it's okay with you, is if they'll go to livingeveryminute.com and they'll click on purchase of the book. If they'll type in the word shark in all capital letters, I will send them the book for shipping and handling only.
Awesome. That is an incredible offer, folks. It's an amazing book. I highly suggest you take it up on that deal. Dr. Tim, anything else you want to share that I didn't think to ask you?
I am just so grateful to be here, and I'm so thankful that you let me come on. I want everyone out there to know that, as a physician, I'm going to give you the 2-minute physician spill.
Sure.
I know that 2020 was a bitch. 2021 is going to get better, I promise. And it is getting better already. And there's no reason to be fearful if we have faith. Just step into it and say, all right, what do I need to do differently? What does my business need to do differently? What does that need to look like? And quit being scared.
All right. That is great advice. Take your doctor's orders. This has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur with Dr. Tim Reynolds of livingeveryminute.com. Dr. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.